welcome to this episode of the Willingdon on Mission podcast. My name is John. I'm one of the pastors at Willingdon Church. And today I'm with our missionary of the month for February of 2024, Siang. Siang, welcome here.
Hi, John.
I'm wondering, for this episode, I've just got a couple of questions. Actually, for the people listening, we're going to have 4 episodes this month that feature Siang and her ministry. So this episode will be shortish, answer 1 or 2 questions. There will be other episodes where you'll get to discover more, and they'll be released every week. And so that's for you listeners to know what to expect. But for this episode, Siang, can you tell us where you serve and what you do? And then can you, you're engaged in 4 different ministries, but for this episode, can you tell us about 3 of them?
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, first of all, thank you, Pastor John, for this wonderful opportunity again to share with my Willingdon Church family, my missions journey. A big thank you to my Willingdon family for their support, their prayers, encouragement, and financial support. I could not have done this without the Willingdon Church family. Firstly, I just want to address, several of you have asked me, what is EE? So EE is actually ends of the earth, as in Acts chapter 1, verse 8. And here at EEGM, EE Global Ministries, we raise stewardships by raising funds, prayer partners, and sending workers to the field for 4 partner ministries. For this first episode, as Pastor John has said, we'll just talk about the 3 of them, and they are Dusty Sandals, Global Children's Network, and Project Jesus for Children. Dusty Sandals, what do? They provide translated Bible materials for pastors, church leaders, Bible teachers, scholars, and so on. And that is done in South Asia, in India and Nepal. And they also do skills program, life skills program, especially for the marginalized, the disadvantaged. For example, GLOW. GLOW stands for God Loves Orphans and Widows. If you remember, during COVID, there was one period, I think it was in 2020, it was even all over the news that in India, many people were just dropping dead. And it impacted what Dusty Sandals were doing. I think there was one area where about 500 people, passed away because of COVID. And so what they do is for example, sewing classes for the widows, combined with spiritual biblical training, and these single moms and women, so that they can create an income stream for themselves and for their children. And so as translated Bible resources, that, like I said, that's pretty straightforward. That is, materials that these leaders would need to teach and so on. Okay. We are looking at a trip to Nepal and India. We were planning to do that last year, but that didn't happen. And so we're looking forward to going sometime end of this year to India and Nepal to catch up with what our fundraising has done for them. We're very encouraged to know that our fundraising has enabled 25 women to take on these sewing classes and also to go for Bible training for 2 years. They were so encouraged by it that when they got the money, they immediately sent a video to us, and you see these smiling 25 faces, thanking us for it. So it's very encouraged to see where your fundraising, where your donations has gone to. The second one is a Global Children's Network. So the focus is on training parents, pastors, and children so that they can raise the next generation disciples. They have also started what we call the Family Pastors Institute, which is to augment the gap between the church and the home. As you know, a lot of people think that when it comes to spiritual training, send the kids to the church and that's it. But no, it's more than that, because in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 5 to 7, it says that when you are in the house or you're outside the house, when you're lying down or when you are rising up, you're supposed to be talking with your children about God. And so that's where the Global Children's Network is, the foundation of it is based on this. I'm pleased to say that this last year, rather, we were able to take our first vision trip to Costa Rica, because in Costa Rica, there is a group called the Bribri Nations, which is actually the First Nations, very similar to here. Here we call them chief for the leader. Over there, they call them either queen or king. In this case, it's a lady. And it was Queen Anna Mara. She was not a believer. And one of her children fell very, very sick, to the point where the doctors gave up and said, this is all we can do. You know, we wish you all the best. And so she felt that there is more to it. And so she heard from somebody that there was a pastor passing through from Colombia. She tracked him down and brought the child to the pastor. He prayed for her, and miraculously, the next day, she was fine. And so that got Queen Anna Mara to think, there is a God that is real, that answers prayers, and he has answered my prayer. I want to know this God. So she was finally connected with Global Children's Network Costa Rica rep, David Salazar. And David shared with her the gospel. She became a believer. She went home. She shared with her husband. He became a believer. And very soon, the whole family were all believers. And that got her thinking, well, what about my people? You know, so she is in charge of a tribe in the eastern side of Costa Rica. And so she wanted her whole tribe to know God. But on top of that, her dream was very big. She wanted all the First Nations to know about God. And so she said, okay, I'm going to deed 1,000+ acres to GCM. And I want you to develop a training center, Malachi Kids Club, Malachi Training Club, family clubs, and so on, a trade school that will help these young people to have income stream, and also pastors, churches, and so on. So she has a very big dream. And so that's why she gave us the 1,000 acres. And so that's what got me to go to Costa Rica last year. And it was so encouraging to see her, to meet the family. We built relationships, even though I don't speak Spanish, but there was that connection. In fact, when we got there, the husband saw me and he knew that we are Asians. And he said in Spanish, I had a dream. So that got all of us at, well, what was that? And he said, in that dream, I saw Asians coming to visit me, and they want to talk about God's kingdom. So we were so encouraged by that. And then we were building relationships over just that 1 week we were there. And the next thing we were brought to the land, the 1,000 acres. It was just a jungle. There was a kind of dirt path or trail, and it was used by some people who thinks that there is something there that they could, some resources or minerals they could mine. And so we were very touched, and we said, let's dedicate this land to God. And so that got Pastor Jack Egger, who is the leader of Global Children's Network. And so we prayed and we dedicated the whole land to God and asked the Lord to come and move in a mighty way. So we came back to Vancouver, and unknown to us, these people are so serious about this, about God, that when we were gone, they started working, they started clearing the land and so on, and took pictures and sent it back to us. And we're like, whoa, they are serious, you know. So they cleared the land, and Queen Anna's family, they're quite young. The oldest is in college. So the youngest is like preteen and so on. And so can you imagine these young people, these kids, we call kids, helping to clear the land and all this? And there was a picture taken of them, the whole family, just carrying this huge log, you know, from the parents all the way to the young ones and so on. They were all carrying it, and we were so touched. We said, look at that. There's the whole family, you know, very serious about it and developing the land. And then the next picture came. There was a huge roof that was erected. Just a roof, and of course it's you know, like a zinc, you know, zinc roof, those sheets and so on, very simple, very basic and so on. And we were told that that was going to be the church. Anyway, we went down in November, and yeah, it was just the church, and all they had was just benches and so on, and the washrooms were there, very basic but clean, and you know, and so on. And the kitchen was another shed, just the roof and just a table, and that's it. And they were cooking there. And I was very touched by the humility of these people. Like, you know, they don't ask for much, but whatever you give them, they will run with it and get things going. So we were very encouraged. And during our trip there, the contract was signed between GCN and with Bree Nations people. And on top of that, Queen Anna actually went to other nations that were in Costa Rica. Some of them were under kind of her rule. And one of the leaders came, and to me, it was like a Macedonian call, because when they had the opportunity to share, they stood up there, a few of them. They invited us to their church as well. And they actually plead with us to come and help them. They are much better off than Queen Anna's. They actually had a building, kind of thing, but they need help with Malachi Kids Club and so on, because already the devil is at work there. Alcohol consumption, which used to be just among the adults, has now come down to the children, because they are brewing alcohol, spirits and all this in their homes. And so the kids got addicted and so on. So pray for these people. So that was that. And we are planning to go back again this year and, to follow up to see what else is happening. Before we left, Queen Anna told us that her house is kind of falling apart. The windows, the doors, the roof, all needs to be replaced. And so we thought about it and we prayed. And so we sent them 7,000, which was what they called us for, and to help them to, get a good roof over their head, because I can't imagine a leader of, of a tribe not having proper accommodation. But Costa Rica is not the only place that Global Children's Network is very, is really very vibrant, and a lot of activities. For example, Kenya, in Africa. In Kenya, oh my goodness, if you have for those of you who want, I can give you a copy of their book. Let me see. Okay, this is the one that is, it is here. I knew I had it. Yes, this is the last one, but I can say the latest, which is a soft copy, and it will tell you, for example, they have, as of last year, over 1 million children and young adults are already, these are all the stats, okay, are already being trained under Global Children's Network. And they are in 52 countries, and 10,000. This year is 12,000. Last year, when the latest report came out, is 12,000 churches that are already adopting Malachi Kids Club and family clubs and so on. So it's very encouraging to see the growth. And even, what is that? I was telling Pastor John earlier that Pakistan, which is, I think Pastor John has, if you have the Open Doors World Watch list.
Sure. Sure. So I'll talk so that the video goes to me. Oh, this is going to be really fuzzy. The World Watch List, if you look at if you Google Open Doors, they've got a thing called the World Watch List, and it lists the 50 most persecuted nations, the 50 nations where Christians are most persecuted in the world. So Pakistan, that Sion's going to talk about, is number 7 on this list. Yeah.
And I must tell you, the leader there, oh my goodness, he has a very young family, that young kids, some of them preschool. His roof was leaking and all this, so we managed to assemble some donations and send it. So now he has a proper roof, because there was plastic everywhere to trap the water. But anyway, he is so hot and so on the ball, and really all out to spread the gospel, to have all these kids club, and the children and all this are coming to know the Lord. And Pakistan is number 7 on the World Watch list. And recently, late last year, there was a riot where the Muslims really, just through some rumors, which was untrue, went about, persecuting the Christians there. Thank God that they were not affected. But I just want to say that, God is alive and doing very well, and moving people. And, when I look at these people in Kenya, in Africa, and in Pakistan, so hot and so, fervent for the Lord, it just, makes me want to work even harder to raise funds for them so that they can go further. But, they're not just doing that, but they're very conscious too, because we're teaching them to be sustainable. So for all those kids that are attending those, the million over kids that attend those, over 1 million kids that are attending all those events, they have to pay. Nothing is completely free. They pay a certain amount so that they are serious about it. They know that they're serious. So they have to pay for the materials that they're going to be using. And then we raise the other half for them. So we're teaching them how to be sustainable so that with this collection, they can put the money to good use and continue to survive and thrive as a ministry. So we're teaching them that, okay? So there you go. That's Global Children's Network. And then the last one
Let
is...
me just interrupt here
Yes.
quickly. Just to summarize, so far you've talked about 2 organizations, Dusty Sandals and Global Children's Network, and you're going to talk about one more. Just for clarity for the people who are watching and listening, Sion's role with these organizations is as a mobilizer. So she raises funds, she tells the stories, she tries to encourage people here in Canada to give to these projects, also raises up prayer warriors and encourages people to go. So that's the specific role that she plays with these organizations, right? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. Thank you so much for doing that. I was planning to say that later, but thank you.
Okay.
It's good to give the perspective. Yeah.
Tell us about the third organization.
Yes, and that is Project Jesus for Children. So what Project Jesus, they have been around for 20 odd years. What they did was they took all the valuable lessons that Jesus taught in the Bible, put that into a publication for grade kindergarten to grade 6. And they went to the education authorities and said, look, we want to, of the public schools, and look, we want to use these materials for the schools. I'm sure they must have met with resistance, but they persevered and persevered. And finally, the materials was used in the schools. And it was such good results that they got. Both the parents, the teachers, and the authorities were so amazed that 80% of the children, they saw a change in their behavior, from lying to cheating to truancy, fighting, bullying, and so forth and so on. They became very good students. In fact, the testimonies that came back was that some of the students, when the classes start and the teachers went straight to teach, and they would say, "Oh, hold on, teacher, you forgot. We need to pray first." So yeah, it was just encouraging. And then they went home and told their parents about Jesus, and some of the parents believed too. So it was very encouraging. And there's this story that I love to share. It's about this boy. He went to the school, and they were using this project. It's called Vital Values with Jesus. So it was the beginning of a new semester. So they went around the class. The teacher said, "Okay, tell me, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And this boy said, "I want to be a drug lord because there's good money." Right? They know where the money is, and they all needed the money. So, okay, it was left as that. So many weeks passed by. Towards just after half the semester and so on, the teacher came back and said, "All right, remember the question that I asked you all to think about? So, is there any changes and so on? What do you want to be when you grow up?" And so this boy put up his hand first, and he said, "Teacher, I've changed my mind. I do not want to be a drug lord. I want to be a preacher to all the drug lords." So it's such a, it's so encouraging to see what Jesus is doing in the lives of these children. And these are all in public schools. And I guess that's why I'm so enthusiastic about this, because here in North America, it's such a different story. So it's so good to see the public schools using such materials and so on. And so what happens is that they do the distribution adventures. So every year, last year, they printed about 4 million copies of this book. They are in quite a lot of countries in Latin America, from Costa Rica all the way. I think they're going to start in Peru this year. So they cover quite a lot of countries. Then they will go further down south. And so they needed people to, first of all, drive the 4x4 SUV manual. So to deliver the books, because there's 4 million of them. So these are all sorted and put into warehouses. And each team will have a driver, which will come from North America, and a rep, which is local, because he can speak English and work with the police or whatever, as well as the schools and so on. And then usually they double up to be, to carry the boxes of books. Last year, Van and I went down, and we helped to carry the books to distribute them. Each box is about 40 pounds. Thank God for His mercy. We didn't tear our back or hurt ourselves. But it is just amazing because the ride is, it can be nice because you're going to the countryside, but the back roads can be quite wild, and you're just going up and down, and so on. But we thank God everything went smoothly, except for a few episodes with the traffic police. I think some of them were out on their quota. So anyway, it was okay. We just paid what we had to pay, and so that is the distribution adventure. So if you're interested, let me know. And also FYI, Jack Egger, who's with Global Children's Network, he is coming up here again in September, like he did last year. He's been up here for the last 3 to 4 years. And so if you want to meet him and hear from him and so on, we're doing a fundraising dinner again at Continental Restaurant. So come join us. And yeah, if you want to contribute to these 3 ministries. So EEGM, like Pastor John was saying, is for the last 3 years we've been around. We link all these passionate supporters with our global partners. EEGM is a CRA approved charity, and I serve there with 2 other volunteers, part-time volunteers. I'm full-time.
Yeah. So thank you, Seong. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
giving us a glimpse of 3 organizations that are doing really important kingdom work. And you get the privilege of linking us to those organizations. So so thank you. For those of you who are listening and watching, I've got all sorts of follow-up questions for Seong, but we're gonna cut this episode off and then follow up with some more questions in the weeks to come. So we hope that you will catch those episodes. God bless you all.